Welcome, a very good day, everyone. Welcome back to our subject ECLE1213 Science and Technology in Early Childhood Education. And for this week, we will be looking at Unit 2, which is Understanding Approaches to Science and Technology in Teaching. Okay, so before we go further, let's look at the learning outcome that you are expected to be able to do by the end of this unit. So, first one is for you to identify at least two different types of environment to promote science and learning. And then secondly, for you to discuss what are the strategies to enhance science learning in early childhood education. Okay, so we are going to look at all the methods that you can use to teach science to young children. So we have a few methods, so I'm going to go through one by one. Okay, so the first one, we're going to talk about a method that is called the problem solving approach. So this is the first method. Okay, so this method you can use to teach science to young children. This method is very hands-on and it can help the children to learn by doing it lah. So of course the first thing is for the children to start by identifying a problem that they want to solve, because this is a problem solving approach. Therefore they need to identify what are the problem that they need to solve, and then next they will need to think about a different possible solution, or also known as hypothesis. So they will use what they already know, okay, to come up with this idea. So in order for them to come up with different possible solution, they need to use their previous knowledge. Okay, so after that, of course, they will go to do with their experiment. Okay, so they will start experimenting. Okay, they will try out their ideas and see what will happen. Okay, so during this they will learn to explain what they did and what they have found out. Okay, and then finally the children will decide their which hypothesis or solution that will work best for the problem and that they were trying to solve. So this helped them to learn the learning process of a scientific thinking. Okay, so this approach is useful because it makes learning active and fun. Okay, it also encourages children to think critically and creatively, because they need to come up with the hypothesis. Okay, they need to formulate the hypothesis, therefore they need to think critically and creatively. Okay, so these are the skills that are important in all areas of life lah, basically. Okay, and then okay and then remember, okay, when they want to use this problem solving approach, okay, we need to remember one thing, that children do their learning with guidance from the teacher. Okay, so this means that teacher need to be there during the lesson to support and help children as they explore and discover. Okay, and then of course children will learn to gather the information from different sources lah. Okay, in order for them to come up with the solution, okay, they need to gather the information from different sources. So this might include books, experiments, or even talking to other peoples to get the information. Okay, so collecting this information will help the children to understand the problem better. Okay, so this is what they're going to use, okay, to solve their problem. Okay, so from this approach, okay, from whatever step that they have taken during this during this lesson, okay, whatever they have learned, whatever they have learned during the lesson, this is what they're going to apply, okay, to solve problem that they face in their everyday life. Okay, so this can be very empowering for them lah, as it shows them that they can actually find solution on their own. This approach is not only help in learning science, but actually also help to build important life skills. Okay, and then moving on to our second method of teaching science in early childhood education is inquiry approach. Okay, so this method will start with something puzzling, something unsure, okay, or an event that could make the children to think, to wonder, and ask question. Okay, inquire. They want to inquire. They want to ask questions. So the key is interaction between teachers and student. So as they talk, student will begin to guess. Okay, again to make hypothesis. Okay, what will be, what will happen, maybe if we do this, this will happen. Okay, so they will start to make hypothesis about what could have happened. Okay, so this can be fun, this can be engaging. Okay, um, for children to learn. Okay, so as a teacher, okay, we need to guide them. Okay, but children are encouraged to learn on their own. So children will become proactive. Okay, means that they can take an active role in the learning process. So this help them to become an independent learners. Okay, so this approach not only makes the learning excited, okay, but also help them to develop critical thinking. Okay. All right. So the next method will be the demonstration method. Okay. Also a very effective way to teach science to children. Okay. So in this method, the teachers will explain and show or illustrate a certain phenomena or concept or principle. Okay. So this help in making abstract ideas more concrete for the student. Okay, so when the teachers perform the experiment in front of the class, okay, it gives student a real experiences to learn from. Okay, so they can start to see things work in logical orders. Okay, this hands-on approach help in teaching practical skill that student can use. Okay, so by observing and the demonstration, okay, children can understand a complex ideas more easily. Okay, because it's very concrete, they can see in front of their eyes. Okay, therefore, it helps them to understand complex idea more easily. Okay, so it is important that the teacher will guide them through each step. Okay, so this will ensure the children understand what is happening throughout the process. Okay, so this method is not just about watching. Okay, so student will also learn by doing. So the demonstration method is also very powerful tools in the classroom. Okay, so this can help to build skills that children will use throughout their education. Okay. All right, moving on to our fourth method, which is project method. Okay, project-based method for teaching science. So, this method is purposeful activity. Okay, means that children will explore and use a lot of scientific knowledge. Okay, so they will investigate, okay, they will discover and find out things by themselves. Okay, so the teacher is there to help and guide them. Okay, but it is the student who will decide what experiment to conduct and how to do them. Okay, so the goal is to let students learn by doing and thinking like scientists. Okay, so they learn to solve problem and understand scientific process better. Okay, so this way they will gain confidence and become more curious about the world around them. Okay. And then moving on to innovative ways to teach science effectively. Okay, so innovative teaching method. Okay, in this method, hands-on learning is the key. Okay, so it encourages kids to explore and learn by doing, which makes the lesson also memorable. Okay, so next thing about storytelling. Okay, so when you do storytelling, it actually helps the student to remember the information better because story can be engaging and also relatable. Also, okay, in innovative teaching method, you can consider using digital media. Okay, it's innovation. So you can consider to use digital media integration such as videos and animation, which also can help to make a complex idea easier to understand when they be able to visualize or when they be able to watch it. Okay, so the flipped classroom approach is another great method also. Okay, so in here, children can learn new content at home. Okay, usually through videos. And then in class, they can divide that in hands-on activity. Okay, so this will help to deepen their understanding. And then lastly, okay, the creating of science corner. Okay, so in order for you to teach a science, you may also create a science corner in the classroom, which can allow the student to explore various scientific concepts at their own pace. Okay, so this method also can make learning science as an exciting um, adventure for their young mind. Okay. Now, do not limit ourselves to all of that only. However, there are also technology enhanced approach. Okay, so this technology enhanced method for teaching science, okay, also can make the learning more interactive and engaging for the students because we are living in technology era. It's something that we cannot run from. Okay, it's already there. Okay, so we have to use ICT lah, okay, which includes all the online simulation and instructional video. So these tools can help children to learn by doing as well and also ask question, which is also called as inquiry based learning. Okay, and then we can also use technology to bring the children for or to bring the students for a virtual field trip. Okay, so virtual field trip can take students anywhere in the world, even to the deep ocean, okay, without having them to leave the actual classroom. So they can actually watch the video link provided, okay, to explore for all the new places and ideas without compromising their safety. Okay, lastly, we can also add an interactive games or apps, okay, which is very great for making science fun. So these are an example of website like PBS Kids. Okay, these websites can actually offer science games that help students to learn through play. So take some time and go through these two links. Okay, see how it can be interesting or be useful for the children or for you to use in the classroom. Okay, so in your tutorial classroom, okay, you may do this experiment together with your respective lecturer. Okay, now let's talk about informal learning environment for teaching science. So when we want to learn science, it's not necessarily have to be in a formal environment only. Okay, so it can be in an informal learning environment. Okay, so these are the places where children can learn outside of the traditional classroom. Okay, think about how kids explore the world naturally. Okay, usually they will touch, of course, they will look at it and ask a lot of questions because children are very curious. Okay, so this environment can include things like science center, botanical gardens, and also libraries. So, science, what do you call that? Informal learning environment. Okay, so this informal learning environment can be designed to engage in many ways lah. Okay, it's either physically, emotionally, and also cognitively. So kids be able to have the opportunity to touch things, see exciting exhibit, and also learn through play. Okay, so what's special about informal learning is that it's guided by the children on interest, and it's voluntary and it's personal. Okay, whereby it will allow the kids to explore at their own pace and at their own way, however they want it. Okay, so this type of learning, it's obviously an open-ended, so there's no right way or wrong how they want to participate in the learning. Okay, so we as the teacher, we can encourage families and communities, okay, because families and community involvement is very, very important too for the children's learning. Okay, so when kids are involved in family and communities activity, they learn naturally by watching and doing. Okay, all right. Now let's continue to talk about the physical environment for teaching science, okay, to young children. Okay. Now let's consider how we design and lay out our classroom. It is important to create a space where children feel comfortable and can focus without distraction. Okay, so think about using digital tools to enhance the learning experiences. Okay, by including interactive tablets or computer in the classroom, okay, that can make the learning fun and also engaging for the young children. Also, we need to pay attention to the layout. Ensure there is enough space for the activity for the children. Okay, because this can help the classroom. Okay, if this can help if the classroom is near necessary facilities like toilet and has a messy area for hands-on experiment. Therefore, we need to design the layout that could smoothen out the traffic in the class according to the needs of the activity. Okay, and finally, a positive learning environment is also a very important key. Encourage children to participate and ask questions and learn from their mistakes. So this approach helps them to feel safe while they take risks, okay, and also to explore new ideas. Yeah. Now, let's add on some strategies how to make science fun and effective for young children. Okay, so in order for you to ensure that your lesson can be fun and effective, these are the simple strategies, few strategies that you can take. Okay, so the first one, okay, it is important to explore and find answer together with the children. Don't just let the children, yes, we know this is very child-centered, let the children lead at their own pace and so on. However, it's still very, very important for us to explore and find answer together with the children. Be the co-learners, all right? So this process make learning even more exciting and help them to be curious. Secondly, encourage the children, okay, to discuss the question, okay, ask question and share what they think. Okay, so this help them to feel heard and valued. Okay, give them the time to experiment on their own. Okay, because learning is, it doesn't have to be so rigid. Okay, learning is flexible and it can get a bit messy, but it's okay. Okay, because it's a part of fun. That is a science. It can be messy. All right, so make sure your lesson is flexible. Okay, because exploration are often messy. All right, now if something goes wrong, okay, investigation with the child, uh, investigate. Okay, if something goes wrong, investigate together with the child, okay, to see what went wrong, to understand what went wrong, okay, together with the child, try to find answer, because this support for their curiosity and encourage for further exploration. Okay, and also it will support for further exploration. So this strategy not only makes science enjoyable but also can foster for love for learning. Again, now on top of that, okay, another great way how to enhance the learning, okay, is by encouraging the children to record their observation. Okay, so by recording observation, this helps them to pay attention to details and remember what they have learned. Okay, so when doing science experiment, it's not necessarily we have to get a store bought item, newly bought item. You can use anything at home. You can use simple item from around your home to explore and experiment. Okay, so this can make the learning accessible and fun. at the same time. Okay, so for example, you can use a spoon and a bowl of water that can turn into a mini science experiment. Okay, on top of that, you may consider to use a website or application to learn more about phenomena or creatures. Okay, so this can help to expose all of these children with a wide range of concept, including the STEM concept, okay, beyond the basic concept. So by doing this, they can start to measure, observe, make prediction, or classify object, okay, which are the key skills in science. All right. So these are also a short activity that you can do during your tutorial time in class, okay? And also some example of the question. So that will conclude our unit this time. I shall be seeing you, inshallah, again on our next unit. Thank you for listening, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Bye bye. Oh, don't forget to like. Bye.